Welcome to the course, Newborn and Infant Care through Thriving by Design Nanny Agency. My name is Brandon Hamburg. I'm the owner of Thriving by Design Nanny Agency, and I'm the one who's going to be your instructor for this course. So this course is going to be kind of a replacement for a newborn care specialist certification, or a refresher for those of you that have already had that. Newborn care is particular. It's unlike anything else, and the babies are so fragile, and it's just such an unusual period of health that we think it's important for everyone, all of our caregivers, to go over these concepts, ideas, and important topics so that we can be sure that everybody's kind of on the same page with it. So with newborn to infant, we're talking about 0 to 1 years old, and what we're going to do is really just give a good overview with some specific, very important matters. And then we're going to be talking primarily about 0 to 3 because, like we said, they are particularly vulnerable at this stage, and we want to make sure that you're prepared to notice anything that is so unusual that it's actually a major concern. We want to err on the side of caution whenever we're dealing with newborns and infants. So we want you to have that same mindset. And of all the different educations out there, we could go on and on just packing this course full of information. However, a more important thing for you, or a more important kind of attribute for you, is if you have questions, ask. If you're unsure of something, ask. Ask the nanny support group, ask the Kia Cadre, ask us, the people here at Thriving by Design Nanny Agency, or ask Google if that's something that suits you better. But the main thing is, when in doubt, find out. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into the course, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for being here. And as always, with any of these courses and classes, if you have any questions, reach out. We're happy to clarify any confusion we can. Thank you.
Hello, so welcome to the actual newborn and infant care course content. So this is the first module where we're going to cover sleep information. But throughout the course of this, we're going to have 4 modules. The second one will be on cleaning and care of the infants. Third one is going to be related to diet, reflux, and diaper rash. And then the fourth one is going to be when to call 911. Kind of a threshold or a guide for what to look for in different vital signs like breathing rate and heart rate for when you should really be concerned and call in experts so that we can avoid any sort of tragedy. So let's go ahead and start talking about sleep. And we want to preface this by saying that all newborns are different. There's going to be some babies are fussier than others. Some babies are going to sleep easier than others. And some babies are going to sleep through the night sooner. Like I know for our babies, it says here, infants will sleep through the night around 4 to 6 months. Both of our children actually started sleeping through the night around 1 month, which was a great relief because it is really trying on parents. And if you are a parent, a tip that we did was we would alternate every other night who slept or who got to get up and go on baby duty each night and who was allowed to sleep through the night. So we would alternate that so that, hopefully we could keep our mental stability there and we didn't have any sleep deprivation issues messing with our psychological or mental health. So was something that we did proactively so that we could be our best, because it really is a stressful period of adaptation to bring a new baby home, especially for the moms, all the work their bodies are doing to nurture the baby. And you just went through pregnancy and childbirth, so your bodies are going through a lot, so you need rest in order to stay your best. But that was just something we did that worked out. But as you see here, it also says that newborns sleep every 2 to 4 hours, and then when they sleep for about 2 to 4 hours at a time. Infants, newborns really need their sleep, and they're kind of going from the period of being in the womb to adjusting to being out in the world. So like we said, all the babies are going to adjust and adapt differently, but there are some things that you can do to help a baby adjust, and that's going to be just basically around comforting the baby, and we'll talk about some of that stuff like we said in other modules. Now, the babies are going to start to naturally go to where they sleep more hours at night than during the day, and different babies are going to adjust to this differently. But you can kind of figure around 8 weeks, you're going to see a significant change where the baby really starts putting in more hours of sleep through the nights. And that's where the parents can get excited and start getting a little bit more solid sleep each night. And then hopefully by 4 to 6 months, your baby should be sleeping all the way through the night. But like we said, that's going to have to do with, having some good sleep hygiene too. So nighttime hours, you really want to keep it quiet and not play with the baby so much and not do things that are going to stimulate them and make them want to stay awake. Although when they're newborns, that's going to be hard to avoid. But just try to keep the nighttime hours quieter, less stimulating, and the baby will naturally shift to that nighttime sleep sooner than later, hopefully. And right here we see that it says flat on their backs. So this is one of the things that we'll talk about with safe sleep. Safe sleep is it's kind of a philosophy or a school of thought or a movement to help avoid sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS. And for a long time, SIDS wasn't, it was kind of a mystery as to what was happening. Nobody could figure it out. There was all kinds of theories floating around, but basically what has come to be known is that babies were suffocating. They're too weak to really move around and free themselves from different obstacles. So we're going to watch a video here that talks about the ABCs of safe sleep. And again, that's really to help prevent SIDS, but it is critical because we want to do everything we can to avoid any sort of tragedy and help the baby get the sleep they need.
For babies under 12 months, the best way to practice safe sleep is to follow the ABCDs. A is for alone. Your baby should sleep in their own area, such as a crib, bassinet, or portable crib. Make sure their sleep area has no pillows, blankets, crib bumpers, or stuffed animals. Have your baby sleep in the same room as you, in their own safe sleep area, not in bed with you. B is for back. Place baby to sleep on their back. This lowers the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, also known as SIDS, and other sleep-related deaths. Babies are less likely to suffocate, choke, or stop breathing when they're on their backs. Starting sleep on the back is the most important factor for reducing SIDS risk. Once your baby shows signs of rolling, make sure to swaddle them with their arms out, or stop swaddling and switch to a wearable blanket. Help your baby get strong and ready for rolling over by giving him plenty of tummy time. The best time to do tummy time is when your baby is awake and happy and you or another adult are closely watching. It may be hard for your baby at first, but it is important to keep trying. As your baby gets stronger, tummy time will be more fun. C is for crib. Choose a crib, bassinet, or portable crib that follows safety standards. Make sure your baby always sleeps on a firm, flat surface with a fitted sheet. Babies should never sleep on a sofa, armchair, or a couch. They should also never sleep in bouncy seats, inclined sleepers, or swings. These items are only meant to be used when your baby is awake. The same is true for car seats, which should only be used for traveling. Babies are safest lying flat on their backs during all sleep times. D is for don't smoke. Make sure to keep all baby zones smoke-free. People who smoke should wash their hands and change their clothes before holding baby. Taking care of a baby can be exhausting and challenging. Set a timer or alarm during cuddling or feeding times or when you are tired. Place baby in a crib or ask family or friends for help. Talk about safe sleep with anyone who will be caring for your baby. Make sure everyone follows the ABCDs of safe sleep. Alone, on their back, in a crib, and do not smoke. For more information, visit Safety Stop online.
Moving on to a little bit more about safe sleep. So as the video mentioned, the safe sleep ABCDs, D is where it's don't smoke. If smokers are going to be around the baby, have them wash their hands. But for here, we're going to focus on A, newborns must sleep alone. And I actually have a personal story where with my daughter, we kept her in the bed with us. Sometimes she stayed in the bassinet. It was just sort of convenient after feedings to leave her laying in the beds with us. So, but there was one time in particular that I woke up, and thank goodness I did. But I was in the process of, I had like my arm over her, and I think I was suffocating her. It was, of course, in the middle of the night and sleeping, but I was like, oh my gosh, because I had my arm over her to like cuddle her, but I'm, anybody's big compared to an infant. So I think I was smothering her. I remember her feeling hot and kind of sweaty, and it was like, I think I was possibly in the process of smothering her. So after that, we made a vow to each other to never let her sleep in the bed with us. And of course, now that's kind of standard information and common. But 20 years ago, SIDS wasn't quite as well understood. So that was one of the things that really stuck out in my mind as I was going through these. With, of course, my children are now 22 and 12. But B is for back. So newborns need to be either in your arms, falling asleep when you rock them to sleep, or you're feeding them and they fall asleep. They need to either be in your arms or flat on their back, and that needs to be in a C, a crib, or some other flat and safe like a bassinet or a pack and play crib or something like that that doesn't have all the pillows, blankets, and stuff like that. Because another story where, again, it turned out pretty fortunate, but my son, so I used to work out of towns, and I was coming home from a business trip, and it was like a 6-hour drive on this particular one. But I just remember my son was about 3 years old, and I was just excited to get home. I couldn't wait to see him. So as I was driving, I was kind of like, maneuvering through traffic, not dangerously, but, I was intent on getting home. And when I got home, I came in, kissed his mother hello, and then literally like ran up the stairs to go see him because she told me that he was upstairs sleeping. And when I got up there, I was, surprised to see him on his stomach, because at that point we were, sleeping him on his back. And so he had just learned how to roll over on his stomach while he was sleeping. And his mother had put a quilt, and she laid the quilt underneath him and wrapped it under the mattress. But through all his like wiggling and struggling, he had kind of pulled it loose a little bit, and so that it made like a pocket around his face. And so I didn't really think much, and I reached down, as soon as I got home, and picked him up, and he was kind of bluish. And the first thing he did was start breathing really heavily, and he took like 3 or 4 really deep breaths, and I was just like, kind of couldn't believe it. It was shocking. I was like stupefied by what I was seeing, and his color came back to him. But for a second there, I was shocked. I thought he was choking. But what I realized was that he was struggling and slowly suffocating because of the quilt had bunched up around his face with all his little wiggles. He was, strong enough to roll over, and he was always advanced with those sort of physical milestones. But so he rolled over before we knew he could. And then that's why, having that blanket in there with them became a hazard. So make sure with these babies, infants, and newborns, you don't have any loose materials or any kind of loose, heavy materials in there that could, cause a pocket that they could get trapped in. Because that's how SIDS happens, is babies slowly suffocate. Their ability to get oxygen out of the air and the effort that it requires starts to go to where the effort that they require is too much for the amount of oxygen they get, and they slowly suffocate and die. So make sure with the babies, they're sleeping alone on their backs without pillows and blankets and things like that, and then in a crib that's flat without like those bumpers or anything like that they could get trapped up against and suffocate. So we're going to watch one more video because it is so important. And then after this, we will, you'll have a quiz. And so with these modules, you're going to need to take the quiz and pass the quiz in order to get to the next module, because we want to make sure everybody comprehends the major concepts. And our quizzes aren't very specific, and our questions are pretty much the obvious points of the video. So if you're struggling or if there's confusion or anything like that, definitely feel free and encouraged to reach out to us, and we will do anything we can to help clear it up so that you can pass that quiz. and then move on to the next module. But this is critical information, so we're going to be somewhat repetitive in some of it and just really make sure that the major points are hammered home.